Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name's Oscar, he, him, and I am on a podquest to learn everything you wanted to know about game dev but never dared to ask. And I'm delighted to be joined by Evgeniy. Evgeniy, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Thank you that I'm here. It's just awesome honor. So basically, I came to the game industry, I think 5.5 years ago, something like. So I came from the movie industry and TV shows. So basically, I used to be a scriptwriter and the showrunner of some new movies and TV series as well. Then I thought maybe I want to try something new. I wanted to develop some games. So I came to the industry to Wargaming company as a scriptwriter. Then I was kind of always curious about the game development, specifically this development stuff, and I was moved to the that time it was an unannounced project, Steel Hunters, but then I became a project manager there and producer as well. So in the last like three something, I was the project manager and producer in that project. So when we released it in April, and unfortunately, we we had to shut down it in August. But yeah, and since then, actually, I'm helping to my friends because they establish the Outsource Band, the outsource art outsource and co-development studio. So they just said, "You have free time right now." I said, "Yeah, I kind of pretty much able to help you guys."
Free time in
Yeah,
the game
yeah,
industry is
yeah,
snapped up. Yeah, it's
yeah.
good.
And they said, "Okay,
So,
I can help you with that." So I producer there, just managing guys from around the world.
yeah, I think it's kind of fascinating. The number of people I know who used to work in film, who came over to games, who, I mean, again, for some people in games, they think of film as the kind of dream job, whereas some people in film
Yeah.
think of games. And I get the impression that the cultural environment is less cutthroat in games than it is in film. But I mean, obviously, feel free to answer that as you wish. I'm sure there are people on both sides you don't want
Yeah,
to offend.
definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about producers and product managers. How would you define the difference between the two? And to bury the lead, why does everybody hate product managers?
Product manager or project managers?
Well, that's a good question. You tell me. You start with what do you when you say PM? Are
Hmm.
you talking about a project manager or a product manager? And what are your kind of your feelings on the differences?
So probably here I need to just highlight a bit that I came from the, let's say, Eastern European structure, right? From the
Mm,
Eastern European company. So,
yeah.
and the differences between the understanding of the structures and possible structures in the companies, they're absolutely different. And I faced it here when I came to UK, and I just spotted the
Mm.
like many different, not even misunderstanding, but different meanings. So basically, under the same terms, you can have different words, basically. So, and
And it's there's no we haven't locked it. That's one of the previous pods I've complained
mhm,
that we haven't really locked down a shared definition. So even when we talk about designer,
mhm,
we don't even talk about the same thing all the
yeah.
time. So I'd love to know your
Yeah.
take on it.
So here for me, if you let me answer, so uh, I would say that producer and project manager, and I will add also lead here. This is managers kind of on the same level with the team. So not level, but the first brick of this tower. And when we talk
Hmm.
about the product manager, it's more about the long-term perspective and the budget, as you mentioned before we
Yeah.
start our recording. So basically, I think they're kind of on a different level. So basically, they go in the same direction, but the communication on their level are different. So for me,
Yeah.
project manager, I like to work with the team, and I like to talk about the team and how they communicate to each other and how they act.
Hmm.
Is in case of deadlines, and because I used to work in the sorry, I have no idea what happened in free to play games where you have to put new content every 3 or 2 or whatever versions. So
Yeah.
basically, it's a big pressure. So yeah, this is how I divide them.
Yeah, and I remember talking to Sergey and various people about the kind of like cycles, particularly in wargaming, where if you're having a new update for World of Tanks, that's going to be planned 2 years out, whereas you've also got to have a seasonality update, which is going to be much more kind of
Yeah.
like kind of more rapid, I say, but we're still talking about 3 or 4 months before you go from ideation to delivery.
Hmm.
So these things can take considerable period of time. And I think it's a problem that even if you're not a wargaming type company, that we see everywhere. So I think what we know is that something like 80+% of the revenue in games right now is coming from live service based games, and I think it was like 24 or anyway, I think it was something like 24. A Newzoo report talking about only like 12% of players' time was spent on new games.
Okay.
So the ability, I mean, so I think we've got two kinds of problems here. We've got the how do you get the original game to market and the development, the planning and processes for that. Plus, you've then got, once you're in market, how do you continue to sustain and maintain your audience? So from the project point of view,
let's see. Okay, where we go.
Producer point of view, what do you think are kind of like the biggest challenges and the biggest causes of friction?
If we talk about the team and work with the team under the project which already in a life, right?
Well, you tell me. I was actually thinking about the differences between the projects as you're going to make them versus projects which are already live. Have you kind of got an idea of the kind of, how would you describe the kind of pressure differences or challenge differences between the two?
Interesting question. But basically, I think the pressure comes from the deadlines first. So, and even like if we think that single player game and just one deadline release actual, but it's not really true because you work on the patch, right? You work on the DLS and other stuff. But in case of the pressure and constant pressure, let's say, I think the live ops games, they're just lifetime free-to-play games. They're just something different. You like working on manufacture, right? When you actually have some kind of contingency, right? And you have some ways to cut the angle, but basically you have to reach anyways the deadline and the milestone specifically because of the players, right? Players, if you already month ago or 2 months ago said that it will be in the build, so just wait for that. You cannot say after just in 2 days that, guys, sorry, we haven't delivered that. So I think this is the key difference between, because actually like not many people know what will be in a single game, right? You just promise something, you show some gameplay, of course, some characters, main mechanics, but they will kind of, let's say, agree that right, if
they'll fill the gaps between what you've told them and shown them and what they're hoping for.
Kind of
players will anyway.
But if you just promise it should be in your battle pass, whatever, like that doesn't matter. It's World of Tanks to Hunters, or I don't know, UFL I'm playing right now, so like it should be there. So, and you cannot stop it. You just need to find a way how you reach it with your team specifically, and be realistic in your wishes, let's say, and what you
I mean, the way I look at this is basically, you've got a predictable date you can't slip. Halloween isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Valentine's Day isn't going anywhere. You can't delay it a week. And if you miss it, you've lost all of that work.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really, I mean, again, like you say, the deadlines are the primary cause of pain. But I think what we end up often doing is trying to fill the space between now and the deadline, rather than saying what's the minimum we need to be able to make players delighted.
Nice perspective. Sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. But sometimes you use, especially if you're producer or project manager, if you see that we don't have enough amount of people in the team, right? And can be your point of negotiation with the stakeholders specifically, right? Because our publishing team, you can say, guys, it's kind of, we call it the easy one. It's like must, should, could, right? And other stuff. It's kind of well-known thing.
Moscow.
Yeah, Moscow. So basically you just say, guys, we can deliver everything you want, but let's say, we want to deliver everything you said, but we can only deliver this amount of stuff. And it's only, I think here it's mostly about the publishers, and it's kind of question on their shoulders how they can provide this information to players, because of course we want to do anything to deliver everything on time, but sometimes we need to find again ways to deliver it.
And you could talk about it in a kind of triangle of like cost versus time versus quality. That's one way of looking. But I don't think it's that simple. I think it's that we have aspirations of what we want to achieve. And if we if we try to just revert it down to specific line items, it's very easy for us to misunderstand the steps that have to also take place. For me, the classic one is it's all very well delivering it, but you've got to take into account the buffer to have it rejected and having to rebuild it because there's a problem.
We call it
You've got
contingency.
yeah, exactly, the contingency stuff. But then you've got deployment.
Yeah.
So the actual time it takes to actually get it from QA and then put it into a staging environment, and then discover you've got a deployment issue, and having to fix that as well, which you didn't take any time for, because that's not the contingency, because it's not my department that's quote unquote screwed up. It's the environment's not quite what we thought it was. And it's these hidden, or they're not actually hidden, because anyone who's been doing it long enough knows they exist. But so many times I've seen these, like, we didn't give enough time to consider not just the delivery of it, but the deployment of it. And then if you add to that, what about the marketing team? I know it sounds, who cares? But I care, because how does the marketing team pre-announce the thing that's coming and get people excited about it if we didn't give them time and confirm the thing was there, let them get the gameplay recordings to create the trailers and the social posts, and still have enough time to release it in advance of the launch?
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry.
No, absolutely, absolutely valid point.
Yeah.
I just can say from my side that it was always the key conversation between us and publishers, because I was kind of the producer and project manager of the cosmetic department. So basically, all types of skins which are going next version, it's on me and my teammates. So basically, like, nice that you spotted the issue with the marketing and other stuff, right? Because okay, we can deliver it like in a version. Let's say after 3 months, it should be in the game. Just random numbers, okay? But publishers should have at least something in the master, in the engine, to build some marketing stuff, 2D assets, 3D assets, whatever, video, way earlier, right? So some, like, because they need time. And this is interesting situation how you dance with that, because basically it's on the project manager shoulders to understand where. And you mentioned the situation when you didn't plan the QA side, let's say, in development. I would say that good project manager should plan it as well. So because
but again, isn't this the issue though, that again, this is your differentiation between the producers, the project managers, and the program managers, plus then the product. How many PMs do we have? We have program managers sometimes, we have project managers, and we have product managers, and each of them have different perspectives. And when we're dealing with the producers, they're typically inside, say, the dev team or the art team or the audio team. But then there's a different type of producer, runner, whatever you want to call them, that's running the marketing team. They may not even be using the same types of tools. They might be using Monday rather than Asana or Jira or something. And who knows where they all line up? And then you start thinking about what happens about IP when you've got an IP tie-in, because it's not just good enough to have that. I mean, you can tell I would do this a lot. It's not just good enough to worry about that. You need to know that it's going to get legal sign-off.
Yeah, it's true.
Not just by your legal team, but by their legal team.
True, it's true. But I would say that it just, like, when you say this word, I feel even I feel scared, to be honest. But basically, when you work, it's absolutely just routine, like absolutely routine. If another department has, like, in our, like, into my projects, even 3, I think I was, it's almost impossible that we use different tools. It can happen, especially if we talk about the publishers, right? So they may, like, some tools are more suitable for another way of planning, right? But basically, we try to make it the same. We try to use the same language at least, right? We've got interesting, like, when we put everything, or like, into the master, it's already like in the version 45, let's say, right? But version 45 for publisher, just in 3 months. For us, it's already done. So the developers, they done it, they put it in the master, it's already there. So we go further for the version 46, 47, 48. But for them, and when you see it on the some meetings, they talk about version 45, that's something just coming in 3 months. And this is like, even for my developers, like I think a few times we just got this conversation. They say, why they're talking about like 45, because we already closed it like just 2 weeks. I said, like, we closed it 2 weeks ago, but they
Yeah,
still
exactly.
working on that. So, and this is just
Yeah,
communication, and it's a communication issue, and it's actually way where project manager or producer, whatever, they have to be this kind of translator. They have to use the same
yeah,
words between the teams just to make this kind of bridges, like, yeah,
totally
guys,
agree.
just because, yeah, it's important to understand, to
No,
have
no,
them align to
and
the goal.
I genuinely used to try to say we weren't going to schedule anything for release until it had been completed and signed off.
Mm.
I know that's a little
I think
ridiculous.
it's ideal world, to be honest.
It's the idea.
Yeah,
Well, it never happens,
yeah,
by the
I
way, but as an ambition, it was quite a good one.
yeah.
But the reason for doing that is that I mean, I had this situation one time where somebody was, I think it was one of the marketing people were off on holiday,
Hmm.
so they didn't attend the RAG meeting.
Hmm.
So when we killed a feature that was kind of key to the kind of the beats that we were intending, they didn't know, they didn't notice, and
Oh.
they didn't read the report.
Mm.
So they built the trailer anyway,
Hmm.
and then we worked out the trailer was wrong.
Hmm.
Then we had to redo it all,
Yeah.
and that meant we lost. I think in the end we only lost like a week pre-announce. I can't remember. I mean, but I think it was like 20 grand lost
Hmm.
as a result.
Hmm.
It's like,
No.
I, and that was just cost.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like what we could have got had we had more like pre-announcement. But I mean, it's that sort of problem I think that's really problematic.
To be
So
sorry, just a few words.
yeah,
Just the case which you described just a few seconds ago.
yeah,
It's exactly why project manager matters, because they have to
yeah,
they have to keep it in their hands, because like when I heard a lot of things like project manager that they do nothing, they do what they're doing exactly, blah blah blah. No one really understand that, but basically this case which you mentioned, it's about that, about the communication. They
yeah,
had to explain that, guys, or like provide this information, right? If anyone missed the call, guys, this exactly new pivot, we unfortunately have to cut it, and we have to
yeah.
do not go further. So yeah.
But I think this is where we're getting into the why do people hate PMs. By the way, we don't really. If you're a PM out there, we love you. Really, it's okay. But why PMs often are at the brunt of a lot of the frustration
Yeah.
that people have is that someone has to call time.
Mm.
And I mean, I've usually had to be the one doing it as product owner,
Hmm.
which is a slightly different mindset, because as a product owner, I've typically been having to worry about the bottom line. We're spending too much on this. We haven't got an idea of what this is going to return.
Mm.
We just need to get something out. I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
And somebody has to be the person who carries that burden.
Hmm.
And what I think we're describing here in the PM side of things is somebody doing that so that the product owner doesn't have to make that call. It's being made on their behalf, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I will agree it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree with
But
that.
again, this is frustrating. If you're working on something, you've done your part,
Hmm.
having that rug pulled,
Hmm.
that's hard.
Yes.
Look at all the my work is wasted.
Yeah. No, in some cases, yeah. Unfortunately, but yeah, like I would also add that the project manager, he kind of stands on the interception of the departments and interests.
Yeah.
So like, as a stakeholders or product director, or your team, or I don't know, even producer or other producers, you're always somewhere in the middle, and always you bring just bad news. Just you have to cut it, or I will come to you as a product owner, say like, we need new people, we have to spend some budget for people. You will ask me, okay, why we cannot do with this amount of people? I'll show you numbers, I'll tell you, so this is the data,
Yeah.
unfortunately we cannot reach, just we cannot reach. And you will say, no, I don't want to spend money, and so on. Then you go to producer and say, look, we have to cancel one of the feature, not this version, maybe later. He will hate you as well, just because he wants to see it, because it will be engagement for players, blah 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 blah. Then you come to your developer, say, guys, we will deliver that, but unfortunately without I don't know, yellow color without the purple sparks and so on, so on, so on. And they will say, no, we want to be artistic, you know. So you
Want to
always,
be creative.
yeah, and you always bring the bad news, like not always, but most of the time. And at the
But
same,
you are the person who's gonna have to bring the bad news,
unfortunately,
and that includes when I decide to pull something as the product owner.
mm,
Often ends up being the poor old PM who has to tell everybody as well.
yeah, absolutely.
And
It's true, and it should
and
be on our shoulders. Like you have to be this
yeah,
person who said the the not really pleasant words to hear,
yeah,
unfortunately. And at the same time, just remember that project manager, he doesn't have his hands on the task, specific task, right?
yeah,
He should
yeah.
overlook. So it's also annoying, right? That someone just, can you imagine you like gardening something, you just cut the trees, for example, it's someone just stand behind and just say, mate, it should be in 2 days.
The backseat
Yeah,
drivers.
or kinda, yeah. And you should say like, why
Yeah,
we cannot write faster, why we cannot move to the right or something like that. It's just annoying. Just sit on the first seat, right, and just go. But no.
yeah. Exactly, and this reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine who's a producer called Lucy Prunier, and we did a podcast where we talked about what does a producer do anyway, because that's kind of a common theme I think we often see, which is related to what we're talking about. That the like you said, the backseat driver aspects
Yeah.
that you end up that frustration. It's not real. Don't worry about it. I know it's not real, but the sense that you might have if you're not appreciating what the role of the producer is.
Mm,
But how can we coordinate? How can we make sure that all of our functionality is aligned
hmm
on the task at hand if it's not someone there who's looking above the parapet
yeah,
to see what's happening, to see what direction and see what else is going on?
yeah,
And does that make sense?
yeah. It definitely makes sense. I think that the key problem here, not that in the position of the project manager, that the problem is that it's not really correct articulated what does it
Mm.
mean specifically to be project manager, right? And it's absolutely different if you go from project to project or company to company, like terms and conditions, they are different, right? And if person, especially like experienced lead developer, if he has an experience, he will see this project manager in an absolutely different perspective. So and
Yeah,
it should be, it's really important to just to again articulate it properly from maybe stakeholders or someone who established the structure of the new project, new team, whatever, just to explain what is about in this specific project, because project manager can do whatever, like literally it can be everything. And during my career I seen like at least 4 different ways how it should be or how it can be, and to
yeah.
be a project manager. So that's why it's for me just really important.
But let's drill down a bit the difference between the producer and the product manager, because I think that sorry, project manager.
Mm,
Um, I think that difference I think is really interesting because my instinct, and again, I think like we said earlier, the difficulty with this is that everybody's using different
mm,
terminology for it. But what I think we're implying in our definition here is that the producer is someone embedded in the team. The project manager is somebody who has some visibility between teams as well.
mm-hmm,
But of course, and again, maybe it's my
mm-hmm,
bias where I'm thinking about a program manager type role,
mm-hmm.
and again, I use that terminology from telcos. So
Yeah.
telecoms have that kind of mindset. They tend to be people embedded at the higher level
Mm-hmm,
about the project as a whole, rather than So if you've got multidisciplinary teams, a program manager might be the kind of person who is taking the holistic view of
mm.
what's going on, and they'll have project managers and producers reporting into them
Yeah,
on what's happening. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
absolutely, yeah, because
Mm.
unfortunately if you in one team, let's say one department, right? I i can believe that you can handle 2 or 3 departments, depends on the size of people in it, because
Yeah,
R&D department can be really small, for example, or narrative, but our department can
yeah,
be just huge, right? Environment team, for example,
huge,
it can be just,
hundreds
yeah,
potentially.
just
Yeah,
potentially it can be with outsourced guys, it will be just
yeah,
an enormous amount of time, amount of people. But basically, if you want to overlook properly you have to stand with like not more than 30 people in your teams, I would say, just because you have time in your daytime, right? You cannot have
Mm,
a lot of calls and not a lot of meetings. You have to
mm.
work, right? And that's why you need someone above who you can report to and who can overview the
Yeah,
whole
that
stuff.
higher
Yeah,
level. Where are we in the?
yeah.
And again, I think this is where even the humble producer, for want of a better phrase, um, the key thing there is that they've got to keep you in the team, in that smaller knit team,
Hmm.
motivated, engaged on the task, but also to finish.
Yeah,
And especially, I imagine in art, I'm not an artist, but
okay.
art must be very difficult to say when to stop, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's true. And in some cases, sometimes it's like I think I will not offend anyone, but like it's a mental stop. Just you
Yeah,
mentally cannot allow that
yeah,
it's enough, and it's sometimes it just take time to explain that you don't, even if you think that it's not perfect. Let's put it like in that condition into the master, and we will upgrade it later. For example,
yeah,
sometimes really good example, just feedback. Let's see what people will say. Maybe they will love it already, and you just try to make it
yeah.
better, and it can be forever. So
And what is better
yeah,
anyway?
it's true.
You know
Basically,
that
better for everyone is the
yeah,
different, right? Yeah, so that's
yeah.
why. Yeah,
It's the classic perfect is the enemy of done.
yeah, it's true, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and
yeah,
in that case I usually try to insist on the art director opinion. If he says that it's enough, it's enough. And because like if you I just believe, maybe just a hope, but if you reach the art and director level, so you already understand where the stop, where's enough, where's not enough. And that's why I try to believe and try to rely on the people who in my team, or people who has experience. So yeah, I could say, of
yeah.
course, no, it's fine, let's go. But basically, if person who more experienced than me say no, I will hear him,
I
listen
remember
to him.
Tim Schafer doing I think it was a GDC talk anyway,
Mm.
and his line was, "The game is done when it leaves my cold dead hands."
Hmm. In-
Makes me giggle.
yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
but this is the burden because we have to ship. But I mean, especially with live ops games
Mm.
and live ops being, as we've said, increasingly predominant. Or at least I think live ops mindsets are increasingly predominant, and necessarily so, because shipping matters. We don't
Yeah.
get anywhere. We don't fulfill our KPIs. Don't fulfill our objectives. And even if we don't want to care about the kind of commercials,
Mm.
we don't give the player something to
Yeah,
experience
it's true.
if we don't ship
Yeah,
it.
it's true, absolutely.
Yeah,
And sometimes, it's how painful to say it to the artist, because I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I think all I don't have numbers, but I doubt that 80% of people, or 90 even, artists came to the industry just to not just perform but make art, right?
yeah.
Even if they came to the AAA project, or basically whatever, any project, they want to make something to show to their friends, or they show themselves. And then you of course say, no mate, unfortunately in that specific case, so we need to
Yeah.
be like a manufacturer, we have to just deliver it.
It's almost like, did you learn study art to be able to adjust the same texture 15 million
Mhm.
times?
Yeah,
Because that welcome to the games industry.
yeah, but it's true. And basically for project manager and producer, I think it's like key important thing just to know this issue and know how to explain it to person, because the beliefs can damage you as well. Like if you
Mm.
think that you can be an artist here, unfortunately, not on all the projects, right? And most of them, it's about the production and
And
development.
it's not just artists, it's designers. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it's
most designers don't design games, they design systems,
mm,
subsets of
yeah,
systems in some cases.
yeah,
It's a tricky world. I mean, and don't get me wrong,
mm,
I haven't spent most of my time on the commercial side of making games.
mhm,
Um, I still consider myself a game designer. However, I know the amount of game design I've done in the last 10 years is minuscule compared to what I'd like it to be.
mhm.
Most of the time, it's me suggesting 15 million variants of what it might be
Yeah.
that never get taken up by anybody.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's part of what leads to player experiences at the end of the day. So again, let's go back to this kind of why do people hate PMs? Now we've talked about the fact that PMs are often the guys who the folks who have to give the bad news. They're also the people who have to get you to the point where you have to give up your darlings, essentially. They're also going to be the ones who try to make palatable projects which are not necessarily something you really want to do. Are there other aspects you think puts the PM in a difficult position?
I would say, I will add a bit more. I would just split this dislike feeling to the being producer or project manager as an uncomfortable project manager, or be like someone who really create the problems for the team. So this is because of the two different things. If you're just uncomfortable, so probably it means that you just push some changes, or maybe try to ask team to work harder and work with them. Basically, it can be unpleasant decisions like cut the feature or something, but it doesn't mean that you let's say, sorry, I don't know, can we use the word asshole, but like it doesn't mean
It's
that,
fine.
right?
Go for it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's all good. We're all grown ups here.
Okay, nice. Okay, got it. So, but if you bad PM, when we talk about the bad PM, what is it, right? He doesn't know what he wants from the team, right? He's pivoting all the time. So he can't
Inconsistency.
Absolutely right. So, and he can't. In other important thing, he can't protect the team from the mess around, which is also kind of his responsibility. He should be like a shield in that case. So, if we talk about these two different entities, I would speak about the second one, because this is kind of absolutely damage for the team.
It's an interesting one because as a product owner type, we often have to keep thinking about different ways and solutions, so on and so forth. But this is why, as product owners, we need producers to tell us to stop.
Yeah, it's true.
We need producers to say, okay, which one? You can't have all of those things. Here, you've given us this bunch of stuff. We've tried to understand what they are. This is how we're going to solve those problems. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the advantages. I mean, so my business partner Erin and I work really well together because she's very good at making me lock down what has to be delivered, rather than, oh, I need to make that happen, and then leaving you to solve it. She says, yeah, but what does that mean?
Okay.
And I think that's another part of the producer in the wider scope of production role, is to hold the designer and the developers to account, and the artists to account to what it is they're actually delivering in reality.
Yeah, and what is the reason, I think, for that, right? What we try to achieve by this feature, whatever. Yeah, it's exactly true. And I think like here we just like talking about kind of terminology again, right? So, and the producer should say what exactly we're doing, right? And based on
and don't get me wrong, it drives me mad.
Of course.
It's like, it's exasperating. But the interesting thing is, I'm not angry at her for telling me to do it. I'm angry at me because I think it's obvious. And I know I'm wrong.
But it's good if you can just agree that, just when person can understand that he make a mistake or he was wrong, it's just I would say gem in the team. So
in my example, I'm talking about where I think I've been clear and I haven't, rather than necessarily wrong about the delivery. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure I am about that quite often as well, but that's a different subject. But I think where I'm coming from here is that it just shows another aspect of what we're saying about the whole levels of layers of problems that a PM has to deal with, or a producer in general. The idea that we've got to deliver, we've got to help empower the team members to be effective, and we can't do that in isolation. Can't do that without
absolutely not
getting to do the paperwork, getting to do it on time, getting them to tell us when they're taking holiday, making sure they've got a sandwich when they end up overworking, and telling them off for overworking because we don't do crunch in this office. or at least I try not to.
Like-
And you see what I mean? It's like, you know. By the way, I genuinely don't believe in crunch. I think crunch is devastating
yeah,
and
I
really
also agree with
bad.
that. It's
Yeah,
kind of wrong planning if you need to crunch.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
exactly. But you know, that's the difference. I think the difference is that I know some people who like to just keep at it until it's done,
Hmm.
and that works for them. But one of the things I insist on, I think, which is a good thing for a producer to insist on, is to make sure that people take that time back.
Hmm.
But how do you make sure, again, the role of the producer is
Hmm.
to make sure people take that time back, but they also need to make sure they don't do it at a point which is going to screw the whole project.
I think I think we come to philosophy, no?
Yes.
Question where we need like maybe something bigger than just podcast. We have to be in a pub somewhere
Yeah,
with a pint of beer and discuss this deep
exactly.
question. Yeah, basically, I just can say maybe it's also kind of obvious thing, but in any case, in any things which you described, you just have to be transparent with your team, so they have to understand that you on the same time on the same side with them, because as many things few times I've seen by myself, I witnessed it, that project manager try to keep distance and try to cover
Yeah,
behind the task in Jira or in Confluence, documents, whatever, Monday, whatever tool we use. So he just keep the distance in case, like, being like a coach. I just in a football team, so you just stay on the field, just see how you play, guys, and then I just give you nice instructions how to change the game. But basically, in my
yeah,
in my perspective, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure, you have to be with team and you have to show them that all processes are transparent. And one of the biggest issue which I had with guys when I just came to my department, because we've got kind of interesting task. I needed to build new department in a new team with two blending teams with the two different cultures. So it's kind of start task, and
yeah,
uh, the interesting was that when I ask guys to just to highlight that if we have any problems with the deadline and you already, because developer, the only one person who can notice it sooner than anyone, he knows exactly he reached deadline or
yeah,
not. And the biggest problem if he just keeps silent. And when I try to say,
yeah,
guys, you don't need to keep silent, you just need to tell me and we will find a way together, it was just always as a felt like a, if I will say, they will kill me. And I spent like tons of hours just explaining that, no, guys, it's not a problem, it's just red flag for myself and you, when you just working on the task, right? You could even don't know that on the right side, for example, someone is free right now and he can help you. And just because you like working on different features, for example, you just don't know it. And if you tell me, he will help you, I will help you, and we will do it separately. If I understand that we don't have any resources to do that, just let me know and I have time to prepare. Producer has time to prepare stakeholders, or they can together discuss how other departments help us to figure out, right? So transparency
yeah.
here just a crucial stuff, and it will help you. In any case, it will help you better than anyone else. You can of course give just
Mm,
order and you just stand and say, where's the task, where's the deadline, like every single sprint planning or sprint review, whatever. Where's the pictures, where's the models? But it doesn't help, it just annoy more people.
exactly, exactly. And I think the key thing to all of that is, for me at least, is understanding what is motivating that person and helping them understand when we push
Yeah.
on time, when we push on quality, when we push on um, volume,
Mhm.
that's not about you personally.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And it's very difficult to get that. I think to get people to understand that
And more than
as a producer,
sorry, and more
sorry,
than that, feedback.
yeah,
Feedback is not absolutely not about you personally. It's about the
yeah.
just model or whatever you see, the feature, technical feature. Yeah, it's also think.
And this is
Mm,
this is an issue I have in my style. It is my fault that I'm not good at. What I do is when I first look at something, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to try and pick it apart,
mm-hmm.
and only at the end do I say, people, yeah, I like that, but the reason I do that is because I'm ADHD boy. I want to work out what's going on. I want to make sure I know every detail. I don't want to tell you anything that's not true. I want to understand exactly what it is. So, and I know I've got to try and get better at this, but I'm very aware that my style isn't very conducive. So it's very useful not having the artist in the room when I'm doing the analysis and having the producer in the room,
Yeah.
because I want to debate how do we get the best thing.
Yeah.
And I think I work best with people who understand that where I'm coming from, which is I appreciate everyone's capacity. I have no skills. I mean, that's not true. I know my stuff. It's just that I'm not technical. I can't draw. I can't code. I can't do these other things. But I know how designs work. I know how processes work. I know what motivates people to buy things, more or less. And I think getting that dynamic right, where you got a common understanding of where you're coming from, and that it's not about criticism.
Yeah.
It's about critique.
Yeah.
Of the work.
Yeah.
To make it as best it can be in the time and the cost and the needs. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It does make sense, and it's really sensitive question, specifically if you work on art.
Really?
Yeah, it's sensitive. So, and basically, to be honest, even tech guys like coders or someone, they also feel
they're just as bad. Honestly, I mean, the amount of effort and emotion. I mean, love them, but coders. I know a lot of coders who will get very pernickety about the style of formatting of the code.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And that guy. If you ask a coder about some code that someone else has written, they'll all say that that's shit code. He always will. They always tell you what's wrong with the code.
Yeah, it's true.
Even if it's functional, even if it doesn't break, it's not beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's not good enough. At least, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm being unfair. I mean, I couldn't write for Toffee any code, but I do understand. There's a sense of pride about, particularly I think in games.
Yeah.
There's a sense of pride because we most coders in games could get 3 times their salary in IT, but they want to make something fantastic.
It's true
that people can play. And I think the same thing is with artists. Although I think the argument about how much you could earn as an artist in other industries, I don't think applies. I think for art, it's notoriously difficult to get paid at any level unless you happen to be elite and you happen to have the zeitgeist. I'm sure Vincent van Gogh would have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, definitely.
That I think is a different model, but the principles about it. And again, this is even with indie devs, I find it really complicated to remind them that you want to accept every piece of feedback. Doesn't mean you have to act on it. And part of the reason why I think this is important is that just because I tell you that I want a game to work like this way, doesn't mean that's the way you want to make the game. Because I'm describing the game I would make. And the complicated thing, I think, in games development process is that somebody has to be the vision holder. And so what they're asking you to do is to fulfill their expected vision. And that's not necessarily the thing that you would have wanted to make yourself. So when they're giving you feedback, I'm probably making a meal of this, but I think when they're giving feedback based on what the objective is.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not on the qualities of you as a person.
No, definitely not. And the feedback as well in social media or whatever, like when you release your game, a lot of comments come to the Steam page or something. It's also another way to protect your team. Just explain them, guys, please don't take it too personal, don't take it too close to yourself. Just wait for a sec, they will understand, and good comments will come later. Don't worry, just because if you hate something, you act quicker and you want to just write messages right now just because you feel kind of angry. But yeah, don't worry, just you need a time.
This is why actors don't read reviews.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, humans are awful when they're not emotionally engaged with
Yeah.
something.
So,
I mean,
if you want to bring some kind of a message, just wait for a day or two at least. Just give yourself to
exactly.
just yeah.
Give it time to breathe.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
and
is a
then
good way to
just
put it.
yeah.
I have this mindset where I have to put things into boxes and then open them tomorrow,
Mm,
because then my emotion
yeah.
drive is slightly tempered. So
It's one of
I've had time to divulge it.
by the way,
'Cause
it's a super ability of the project manager to stay calm
yeah,
under the storm and even emotional storm,
yeah,
because sometimes again, don't want to be don't want to offend anyone, but like even when I moved to the project manager from the narrative designer position, and the first question which I received from my friend colleague, he said like, why they are so stupid, guys. I don't think that project managers are stupid. I project manager myself. So but it
yeah,
was his first question, and can you imagine that it was like first question from my friend. So during the whole
yeah,
during the whole time being the project manager, I said the jokes, toxic jokes, like question about like why you sit in here and do nothing or something like that. So you have to keep your emotion itself so in your side, and find a way to work with them and do not damage your team as well, because them team, again, they are developers, they can do whatever they want actually. So because
yeah.
their emotions help them to create in some cases.
Yes,
Just
totally,
try to
totally.
understand, and you have to, I think the one thing important here, just to draw a line between emotional things and respect. If you see
Yeah,
that it
totally.
comes to disrespect, I think you have to raise the flag and talk to this person. But if it's just
Yeah, you have
only
to stop that.
emotions,
Yeah.
just give him time, and it will be fine later. Just you have to be a project manager, you have to work with these guys.
Yeah, I've had to call the the hang on a minute card on some people, and I've had to apologise sometimes to people, which I think though what I think my best, and I've talked about this before on the pod. One of my favourite relationships was with James Cox when I was at Sony,
Mm.
because we would literally be fighting hammer and tongs in meetings, and we go have lunch together.
Yeah,
And we just talk about kids,
yeah,
and it was that ability for us to have this sense of we are trying to do the best for the consumer, for the project, for the regions, for the management, for the teams, and we had to fight out what was possible.
yes. I
And having that tension is what made us able to do some amazing things. Which, I mean, people don't probably understand what home was at the time, but we managed to build basically what was a Unity and of Roblox
mm,
and a whole pipeline of content platform,
mm.
all the retail mechanisms, all as a free to play experience in a 3D virtual world on a console that in a way that had never been done before.
Am I?
I mean, we'll never get credit for that, but it was a huge endeavor.
May I ask you a question? For you
Yeah,
personally, if
yeah,
you
yeah,
fight with a person like that, does it mean
yeah.
for you that you can reach together more?
Yes.
If it didn't went it didn't sorry, if it didn't finish with I don't know, conversation with HRs, or if you just had a fight and then
So
say
I
let's
should
go
be
further.
clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I say fight,
Okay.
I'm talking about holding opinions strongly
Mm-hmm.
but loosely.
Okay.
So I think the difference is that you've got to start from a place of respect,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got to be able to push to be sure.
Yeah,
It's not just a case of
I agree.
this is how it works and this is my expectation. It's about being able to push and say, but do
Yeah.
you really think
Yeah,
that
it's
is
true.
the case?
Yeah.
And I think unless we push each other, we're not going to find the best solution. So I think I'm very lucky that we had a relationship where we trusted each other enough to be able to
Yeah,
push the
I
boundaries.
agree.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't always perfect. And yes, sometimes there were emotional hangovers of it, but mostly um, it was okay. And actually, the fact that we both knew that we left that conversation in the office,
Mm,
and when we went downstairs to the canteen, that was us being
yeah.
us. So knowing the difference between our objectives work wise
Hmm.
versus us being people.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's difficult because I think some people might have misunderstood some of those things.
Mm.
Somebody might have observed it and think that we didn't like each other or whatever, but that's not the case. In fact,
Unfortunately.
I still see him now. Oh, he's relatively local. We've been doing a local networking thing with games industry execs,
Hmm.
talking to each other. So it's been lovely just being able to spend time with him. Um,
But it,
but
yeah. Sorry. Go, go, go.
but to your
Yeah.
point, it requires a level of trust, but also a respect.
Yeah.
You talked about respect
Definitely.
earlier. I think
Definitely.
that's really important.
I think it more than in my perspective, these kind of, let's say, tough conversation, right? We call it fights,
Mm.
but like, yes, you said, just
Yeah.
strong conversation about the goals, right? And your perspective of
Yes.
this.
Strong conversation about the
Yeah.
goals. Yeah.
So I think in that conversation, trust and respect can be built.
Yeah.
So it's not just,
Yeah.
this is how you get it. So I just short example, but really from the really long story. I think I was really young and I came from it's my first job. I was in the event sphere and I was the scriptwriter and the director of the events. And I've got a colleague.
Yeah.
I think we've been fighting every single project together just because we want to make it
Yeah.
really interesting for
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
partners. And we've been fighting all the time. But I would say like I think it was already like 15 years or something gone. One of the best colleague in my life. Like
Yeah.
I could say
No question.
I could say that with her I will go to the deepest forest, highest mountain, whatever. We will fight again, I think, but we will reach our goal because the all projects which we done together were just super.
Yeah.
They're just super, and in
Exactly.
that fightings I believe into the people and believe
I,
these people and trust them after.
totally. Totally. And I think yeah, the sense of trust. I think when you find people who you like and can fight with,
Yeah.
in the sense of have an emotional, firm felt belief about what should be done and debate it to the extent where you really test that
Hmm.
belief. But I think in order to make that work, both sides have to be willing to accept the best option, even if it's not yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really tough. Um, and also, I mean, it's not for everybody that style. I mean, not everybody has to have that
Hmm.
style. It's possibly slightly a more
Hmm.
masculine style of approach. I don't mean that in a kind of like sexist way. Quite the opposite. I mean, it is a weakness in some ways. You could argue. Um, there are more collaborative styles of doing it where I think listening is important to all
Hmm.
of these things. Um, but again, I think there's something about having a level of emotional connection with the
Hmm.
decision because this stuff means something. If we want the players to care
Yeah.
about it, however we express it, whether it's more collaborative or more kind of confrontational, those decisions are going to impact players.
I think important layer of this question is uh, to build, if again talk in the perspective of management, right,
Mm,
of the team, to build the atmosphere where it's possible, where everyone understands.
mm.
For example, you go to the brainstorm room, right, together with the guys,
Yeah.
and you know whatever it happens, it will stay in this room because it's about the
Yes.
work. Because
Yes.
again, few time I witnessed when the some conversation, even not too hot conversation, just regular disagreement with
Mm.
each other, and it went to the HRs somehow.
Yeah.
Just someone just damaged my feelings and so on. Like I'm not sure that it's kind of issue in some cases when you like let's be clear, if person toxic, everyone in the project knows that it's toxic person.
100%.
HRs knows it first, so basically it's not even uh
Yeah.
like question. But when you talk in a team and you work on something with team, there's some emotional splashes can be right, and it's weird that
Yeah.
if you just try to every single splash deliver to the HRs, you can handle it together. If it's about the
Yeah.
disrespect again or toxic behavior, yeah, I understand. So, and I think like producers
I,
and project managers, they have to work on this as well. So just to show team
yeah.
members that even if in the last project or whatever you have experience, you've got this tool to go to the HRs. Here, let's try to be
Yeah.
a team because it's important to believe and trust to your partner on the boat.
And I should highlight that the point about that kind of relationship I'm describing is where they're peer
Mm-hmm.
relationships, where they are on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely not appropriate to do that, I think, in when there's a difference in power.
Mm.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
makes
not
sense.
saying you can't have emotional conversations and have that honest candor. I think, real true candor can be incredibly powerful. But I think if you are the manager, your responsibility is to leave that person able to do the best in their job and to feel confident that they are trusted and that they are understood and that they can be effective. If I undermine that person's ability to feel competent,
Mm-hmm.
I have failed as a manager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now, don't get me wrong, that also includes disciplining.
Mm-hmm.
That also includes, trying to do, personal development plans and all that. It's understanding the right tone and the right um, direction. And I think understanding how the power dynamics operates and being respectful of that as much as it is about being respectful
Yeah.
of the person. If that makes Does
Yeah.
that make sense to you?
Being responsible,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
respectful. It's a key point for a project manager.
Heaven forbid that we could respect
Yeah,
people.
we should show the example, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
weird that you just don't care about the people and then you ask, can you care about the project? It doesn't work like that. So you,
That's what I,
yeah,
No, I was going to say the one of my favorite lines about what is a company.
mm,
A company is a group of people on a common endeavor.
mm,
And if we don't treat each other with respect, how can we be on a common endeavor? We don't necessarily have to like each other.
no,
Don't get me wrong. I
no,
mean, I have worked with some people not my cup of tea, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean I don't respect them.
yeah,
It doesn't mean I don't understand them. I may not want to go down the pub and play D&D with them,
mm-hmm,
and that's okay. I don't have to.
yeah,
But I do have to work with them. I do have to give them the space to be able to be good at what they do.
makes sense.
So, So, I mean, as we wind up our
Mm,
conversation, so we've talked about people hating PMs,
yeah,
and we've talked about the different layers and different roles and different languages we use for these different roles within the management of the timing and delivery of projects in various forms, and of course the needs, the requirements that they mean, and the consequences they mean.
mm.
If you are in a PM role, what advice would you give somebody? If somebody in a PM role, what advice do you think would be the one thing you'd want them to take away from this
May
conversation?
I say two, if you don't mind?
Say two.
So the
Go for
first
two.
one I already
Two's good.
mentioned. I think previously the first and important, don't cover behind the tasks and numbers. Just even
Yeah.
for myself personally, I used to be a project manager when I sat in the calls with other project managers, and even I bored about the graphs, numbers, Jira tasks, and why it's not burning as fast as we wanted or something. So it's like, for me it's annoying. For developers, it's way more annoying. And you just need to keep your face. I mean, not face being nice, but face like a person, a human being, right? They have to
Yeah.
look at them like a people, because they're people actually, then they developers, and they will understand you as well. They will evaluate you as well. So they will see that you're not just a position and role, you're a person. And the second
Yeah.
one, it's kind of my tip for guys who just came to this industry, who just came to the new department or something. Try to learn their language. It's just really important. I came to the art department. I had no knowledge at all about the how it works, how it should work, because before I used to work with narrative, with R&D features, and it was like just partly I knew something about the art. But you have to understand what does it mean. I don't know, low poly, high res. What the difference between texture and materials? Because before I didn't know, for example. And if we go to the tech
Mm.
art, it's even it's just different, absolutely. So you have to understand what is the difference between, I don't know, LODs, or I know what is the difference between tools in Maya or scripts on the
Yeah.
languages. So learn the language, and at least on a high level, just to understand what they're talking about, because in that case you cannot fake it until you make it. So if you fake, guys will
100%.
understand it absolutely just in a second. So try, if you don't understand, just go to them, ask the question. There are no bad questions. Just ask and say, you mentioned that low poly is blah, 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 blah. Ask them, what does it mean, low poly? Let them answer to you what does it mean.
Yeah.
And it's also build the
And
respect.
get a common definition, then you get to share.
Yeah.
You know what this person and this company means.
Because it's really important. You cannot talk in different languages, or you will keep this distance. You have to understand key points in the sentence which they tell you on the every daily morning stand up. So don't try to cover yourself and show. If you don't know anything, ask, and they will respect it.
Yeah. Oh, and I totally buy that. As somebody with a voracious appetite to learn, I've spent most of my jobs, I've spent ages trying to sit with each of the different people I had to interact with, try to understand what they're doing and why. And, you know, hopefully get to the stage where I could have a conversation, an argument in the nicest possible way, a debate about the decision. And I couldn't have done that without them having first trained me essentially on what was necessary to know.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I remember one guy showing me about ocular occlusion. I had no idea what that was. So now I know what ocular occlusion is. It's like stupid little things like that where why would you need to know if you are a guy working out how to make a game commercial? Well, I want to know because I want to know what the guy who's doing the graphic engine is working on, and why should I give that the time? And if I know that the way that we're handling light in a space can be transformational for the experience, I need to know why that happens, what it does, and therefore that it needs time allocating to it.
Yeah, agree 100% with you. Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Evgeniy. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
listening,
Oscar. Thank you
taking the
very much.
time. And obviously, hopefully, don't hate the message we're leaving you, our lovely audience, is don't hate on your PMs. Your PMs are there to help you and to help coordinate and make sure everything is working together as a smooth machine. But they are up against massive challenges of management between different siloed departments, between different organizations, the commercial responsibilities. At the end of the day, we have a debt to our consumer, the player, the person who's going to experience this marvel we call a game. And that's what this is all about, is creating great experiences for players. And it takes a core group of people to help align all of the different departments. And that's what the PM is all about. So let's give our local PM a little bit of love, shall we? So this has been your Game Dev Local podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that debate. Thanks again to Evgeniy for taking the time out for me. If you want to find out more about him, you can find him on LinkedIn. We'll provide the details in the synopsis of the show. And of course, if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share, and all the other stuff that people do with these podcasts. And we'll be back again soon with another podquest and an exploration. And of course, don't forget there's a Discord channel as well, so you can carry on the debate even then. Look forward to seeing you next time.